Hey everyone, welcome to the bigger picture with me, Nick, and my co-host Sid. Hey Sid, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you?
I'm also good. I'm from now on anonymous, like Sid.
Yeah.
There's a couple of reasons for that. The first one is that it's much easier if you're anonymous because then you don't have to comb your hair. And
Yeah. This was like the my main reason too, because I don't want to comb my hairs. That's why I just decided to go anonymous long time ago.
yeah, it's really nice if you don't have to care about your appearance. Don't worry,
Yeah.
I still look okay, but it's it is easier. And but there's another reason. Another reason is for restream. If you have another video feed that's running, it sometimes crashes. And if you don't have a video feed, that's it takes less of restream to run. So that's an additional reason. Plus, the topics are, of course,
Yeah.
insane. So that is the first reason.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're gonna talk about a lot of stuff, probably too much stuff. The interview with Dylan Brolin is of Borland. Wait, I'll check. I keep messing his name up. Borland. Dylan Borland. I think he's on the same level as David Grusch and Jake Barber. If you haven't seen those revelations or whistleblowers, check them out. But Dylan Borland is unique in the sense that he's definitely not a misinformation agent. Like I would be willing to put my hand into the fire on that statement. If you watch,
So you're saying the guy Barber and the guy is like are or why you
no,
say that?
I mean, with those, you can't just you just don't know for sure, right? I mean, they are official. I think if I have to order them, rank them in reliability or trustworthiness, I would
Hmm.
say Borland number one, then David Grush, and last Barber, because Barber, by his own admission, says he worked for Red Team, and but even I do think all three of them are very credible,
Hmm.
and you have to take them very serious what they say, because even Jake Barber, who I listed as lowest on the rank, he says a lot of things that I've no doubt about that they are true. But he also says in those same interviews that he was basically doing counter espionage, right? He was spying on Stephen Greer, trying to intercept information. He admitted that he red team, that he was a specialist in red teaming, and that when Jesse Mitchells asked him, how do we know you aren't red teaming us now, and then he says, yeah, you don't, right? I mean, so anyway, okay, and then if you add Louis Elizondo, for example, then I would, he would be at the lowest rung.
Yeah, of course, of course. Yeah, yeah. He looks like a misinformation agent. But I'm not saying he is, but I'm just saying he looks like it.
Yeah, but and he is officially also counterintelligence. Like that's actually his
Yeah.
official background, and he worked for OSEP and so an ATIP. Sorry, ATIP. Yeah, I think also OSEP, but at least ATIP. Anyway, so that's one of the points that we're going to discuss, and the other is of course drone flap over Europe, which is heating up,
Hmm.
and
It's
we'll
actually heating up more than I was expecting because, like, every day or every other day, there is a closure of an airport. That's actually not cool. This is like worrisome.
yeah, this is getting pretty crazy, and the Europeans are really going into paranoid mode
Yeah.
over it. I think they're really getting seriously paranoid, and I think they're overblowing this whole thing, blowing
Yeah.
it out of proportion, to be honest.
No, in their defense, like it's a right thing to do because if there is an unidentified flying object near the airplane, there is a possibility of crash. So I think what they are doing is the right thing, but they need to identify where it's coming from, and it's not
Yeah,
that hard. It's not that hard, to be honest. Drones have a light, right? Or easily trackable. They just like they put a helicopter behind it, or they put like a regular drone, army drone, and just chase it where it's going. You can.
Yeah, but I think what is happening in Europe, from the research that I've done and the people that I've listened to, is basically that it's very similar to what happened in New Jersey and all over the world. It's a combination of our
Yeah.
drones, enemy drones, and also real UAPs. I'm 100% sure of
So
this.
New Jersey one were Palantir drones. That is like now like it's a
No,
public.
but in New Jersey there were also definitely corroborated real UAPs flying around.
Yeah, I think what was happening, so there were multiple things happening in there. One
Hmm.
was like Palantir was testing, and Trump hinted on that too, that I know what they are, but I cannot disclose it.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, yeah, so it means it's human technology. But yeah, there
Also,
are
human.
UFOs are flying, so I think they were also tracking that. So they were like
Yeah,
happening at the same time.
yeah, and I think the same thing is happening here now, right? That it's also a combination of the real thing, like, and with real UAPs we mean, of course, anomalous, like truly anomalous, unidentifiable objects, like not like things that we don't know what they
Yeah,
are, but they are truly mysterious objects, right?
yeah,
And then the Palantir stuff and other companies. I imagine it's not just Palantir, but other companies that have deep pockets and black projects flying around, and probably also adversary technology. I wouldn't be surprised if that's also the case.
yeah.
And then finally, Atlas, Three Eye Atlas. I mean, I didn't put it in the title, but there's so much stuff going on with Atlas. It's
Yeah, let's start with that because we don't want to talk too much in detail about that, but let's just start with that. Maybe put on the picture, the one I just sent.
Yeah, so Three Eye Atlas was, of course, observable because it was flying by Mars. And well, you also shared the one where NASA's Space Link was sort of, that NASA didn't have money.
Yeah.
But the rover, the Perseverance rover, actually caught this one from the Mars surface, which is, quite an interesting.
Okay. So I want your opinion on that first, and I'll give mine.
Well, I think this could actually be the legit thing. Like they could actually be spotting Three Eye Atlas.
No, no, this is three eye at least, without a doubt. But okay, so I'll tell you what's happening.
Cylindrical UAP, right? I mean, it's traditional.
No, so regarding that, I just went deep in the rabbit hole and read this like the actual explanation of that picture is that they were using long exposure.
Okay, that's also possible.
So it's not a cylinder shape, but because they were using long exposure, they capture a big frame. And when you do light painting and stuff like that, it's
Mhm.
very common to have a shape like that. This is their explanation. I'm not saying, but it as a
Could be.
photographer, I can understand that. Yeah, if you're using long exposure, you are capturing it for more frames, right? And then you
Yeah,
can see stuff like that.
yeah. I mean, I'm totally up for that, right? I mean, yeah. I'm
I
totally
am
open.
not up for it. I want this to be a cylinder shaped UFO, but
Oh, I don't care one way or the other.
yeah, but what I'm saying, the explanation is more like I can understand that explanation, whatever they're saying.
Yeah, yeah, but it's actually cool that they caught it, right? I mean,
Yeah,
that's, and then so you shared the one. I'm gonna pull it up right now. I
I think
think
it
it
was
was.
from the same account. I think it was the same thing I sent.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think.
yeah. That's the same account, by the way. Yeah, you're right. So we're gonna switch to that one. I'm actually also gonna play some videos on it, but so the NASA officially offline at the most critical moment in the observation of objects through Eye Atlas. Yeah, that's there
Yeah,
were.
so they had a money to run the Voyager, but they didn't have money to post it on their website. Like I don't even understand their shitty explanation here. I do understand there's like a government shutdown, but NASA is not just the government; it's like public. They have like public and private, public and whatever it is. I
Yeah,
don't think it won't take more than $10 to post stuff on there.
yeah. My God, this is total nonsense.
They don't have $10. Oh my god! Because the real money is the Voyager taking photo, which is still taking it, right?
Yeah, yeah.
You can't just post it like, okay, come on, man, give a better explanation. You're just creating bigger conspiracy here by doing this.
But there's more. There's more. Let's go to our favorite person, Avi Loeb.
Let's go.
Controversial as ever, but he has some interesting things to say. So we're gonna play some clips from Avi on it. First, this one.
Comet, by the way, just like zebra is identified by its stripes, right? That's what I mean. How do you tell the difference between a horse and a zebra? It's the stripe. Okay, so how do you tell a comet from a rock that doesn't have any eyes? You tell it by the cometary tail. Okay, that's what distinguishes the comet. And in this case, just yesterday, there was the first analysis of the image from the Hubble Space Telescope of this object. And guess what? There is no tail. But more importantly, there is glow in front of the object instead of behind it.
It's got headlights. It's got headlights. You're not celebrating Halloween this year. That's the take-home message.
Just as an English to English translation, if I'm summarizing, there is a large rock that most scientists think is a comet that is bigger than the size of Manhattan, hurtling towards space or hurtling through space, potentially towards the Earth, that you believe may be alien technology, potentially a mothership that does not have any of the signs of a comet, but has headlights potentially or a glow in front of it. And it's scheduled to arrive potentially on Earth on October 29th? Is that accurate?
Not to Earth, but to get closest to the sun along its path.
But Avi, it's going to appear when we can't see it, which would be the best time for it to make a sneaky maneuver.
Yes, exactly. I mean, you can argue like my colleagues do and say, the trajectory, it's just a random trajectory that happens to be fine-tuned and so perfectly aligned with all these planets. And, it's a coincidence that it happened to come closest to the sun when we can't see it. And it's a coincidence that it passes near all these other planets. By the way, even if you take this trajectory and just arrange for a random arrival time, you get 1 in 20,000 chance of it coming as close as it does to Jupiter, Mars, and Venus. It just fine-tuned in the sense that it also comes closest to those planets. Those planets are moving around the sun, in a circle, each of them. And they get to the point where 3i Atlas is just when it arrives there. Like, how can that happen?
Maybe you're crazy.
Right?
I turned off my microphone. Sorry
No,
about that.
yeah, I did that too. But yeah, okay. With this clip, I just realized one thing. The photo, open the photo again. The previous of the 3i Atlas.
Oh yeah. I got another one, by the way.
Yeah, okay, open that one. I just realized one thing about their explanation.
Okay. So this one is actually from an amateur, or no, not semi-professional, I should say. Somebody who has like a huge telescope in his house, and he captured this one from
Yeah.
3i Atlas.
I just think their whole idea of long exposure one can be debunked here, because even with the long exposure, you should be able to see a tail. You don't see a tail because tail is little bit like thinner. Yeah,
True.
it's like you just see one light moving from one place to another. So yeah, I don't see that explanation working now, because I don't see a trail.
Yeah, there's no comment. I mean, it's not
It's not a comet. It's like, yeah, it's like a spaceship probably.
absolutely. And then I want to play this one. This was a really good interview. I haven't listened to the entire thing because it's very long, but I want to play at least a little bit from it. This is with from Brian Keating. It's not my favorite person, but
I hate actually, I hate both of them, but like I hate Brian Keating more. Anyway,
but he does have some interesting guests on and good
he
conversation.
have guests on, but like he is one of those guys. Like he debunks everything. Also, he's like crazy. He is always on the wrong side of the history. Let's just say that. I hate him anyway. But let's go.
Let's go.
Means that the object is very massive, because we do see that it's losing about 150 kilograms per second based on the Webb telescope data, and it's mostly coming in the direction of the sun, from the sun-facing side. because the Hubble Space Telescope took an image that showed a jet 10 times longer than it is wide coming in the direction of the sun, of scattered sunlight. And so altogether, that should give a recoil to an object if it's low mass. But the fact that we haven't detected any recoil, any deviation from a gravitational trajectory, means that the object is very massive, more massive than 33 billion tons. And for solid density, that means bigger than 5 kilometers. That's bigger than the width of Manhattan Island. But it could be much bigger than that. It could be up to 46 kilometers in diameter based on the SphereX data that was obtained a couple of months ago. And so we don't know what its actual diameter is. And of course, the mass scales as diameter cubed. So it's really important to use the brightest pixel in the high-rise image to infer the surface area that is reflecting sunlight of the nucleus of 3I Atlas. So that's coming up. And then there is also the high-resolution stereo camera on board ESA's, the European Space Agency's Mars Express. That's expected to capture lower resolution images. Then we have the color and stereo surface imaging system, CASIS, on board ESA's ExoMars Trace Gas Orbiter. And again, we will get color images here and also stereo views, helping to learn about the composition analysis through spectroscopy. There is also a spectrograph on that mission. And then there would be ultraviolet imaging that could be obtained from the MAVEN spacecraft that NASA launched near Mars. And there would be additional images reported probably from the camera on board China's Tianwen-1 spacecraft, as well as the HOPE orbiter of the UAE's Emirates Mars mission. So lots of instruments, and obviously data is the best way for us to figure out the nature of this object. Because
I'll stop it there. But so basically, so first of all, right, it's gigantic, probably. Yeah. So it's no surprise that the Perseverance rover on Mars could capture it if it's this large, because the rover is just on the surface of Mars, and you get such a clear picture of the object. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's much bigger than the island of Manhattan, as he says. So that is. That is very unusual that you got such a huge thing. And then, like we already established, there's no tail to the comet. So clearly it's not a comet. Also, it changes color because it went from red to green, if I'm not mistaken. And there's a lot of other anomalies associated with it. And this interview, he really goes through all of that. It's very interesting. I think over a year, he sort of goes through the anomalies from the chemical makeup and the negative polarization. He goes to the alignment of the planets, which is very unusual. And then, of course, you got the wow signal.
Yeah.
So,
one thing before, maybe it's Antichrist in that ship. It's the Antichrist ship. That makes more sense because Peter Thiel is doing that 4-part Antichrist thing. Everything is set for his arrival. I think it's happening.
Well, something is clearly happening, and I think it was Adam last time in our mutual podcast. What was a decentralized disclosure. I think he pointed out we were sort of talking about the comets and those omens in the sky that people in the past used to, for example, when Jesus was born, there there were signs in the sky. Caesar, Augustus, you got these really big names in the past that were sort of connected to comets, Halley's Comet, but other signs and omens in the sky. So it, I think we're sort of re-experiencing what people in the past also experienced, and that also happened around the change of millennia, right? With the millennium.
No, it's not a change of millennia. This is not the change of millennia.
Well, you know, I mean, those sort of comets didn't sort of arrive exactly at like 2000 or 1000 or 900, or, you know, in the case of Jesus, of course, it did. But
Yeah.
usually it's sort of in and around that ballpark, you know, like 10 years or 20 years.
Yeah, we'll
Market.
see. But it's not just one, right? Because there were two predecessors to this spaceship. I will call it a spaceship 3i Atlas.
Yeah, I think it's.
Because I think calling it a comet is like injustice. So let's just call it like, okay, let's just call it 3i Atlas. But yeah, there were predecessors to these two things, 2i Atlas, 2i and Oumuamua, the famous one.
Yeah,
So I think those two were the scout ships, and this is like
the mothership.
this is yeah, probably a mothership. Because if it's 40, what's the size? Like 45 kilometers? It's like it's the size of a mothership for sure.
Yeah, well, that's the, you know, the biggest, you know, if it's at its biggest size, right?
Yeah,
But it's somewhere in that range from
yeah.
5 to
Or
40.
let's just say if it's just a comet and it's about to hit the Earth, that's a planet destroyer. Then
Oh
it
yeah,
it
easily,
will destroy the planet.
easily. Yeah, and then, you know, this is about the wow signal. So the wow signal was emanated or caught, I should say, in 1977, and then the person who caught it wrote wow next to it. And then, you know, 3i Atlas at that point was 600 astronomical units from Earth. So
Mhm.
that's 600 times the Earth to the Sun distance. It's sky coordinates, and then you go through the sky coordinates, and then the wow signal is sort of almost at exactly the same point as where Atlas would be giving its speed and trajectory. So that's a separation of 4 degrees, etc. And then the chance alignment probability of that being coincidence is 0.6%. So basically, that a signal that they caught, which was, you know, very different from the background noise of space, which is why they wrote wow when they found it,
Yeah.
aligns with the trajectory and the speed of Atlas.
Yeah. Also about that signal is like I think they just misfired the signal. I think they were not trying to do it, but I think it was like a mishap. This signal.
Yeah, but, you know, whatever it is, it's bizarre, right? I
Yeah.
mean, I think Avi is right to point out that it's very likely not a coincidence, or yeah,
Yeah, it's too many coincidences
yeah,
here.
absolutely. So anyway, October will be very interesting because that means, you know, there will be a lot more data being released from all these different
So
satellites.
how will they release it? Because they don't have funding to release it yet.
So we should start a fundraiser for NASA. You know, donate
Yeah,
crypto to NASA in
yeah,
order to capture Atlas, 3i Atlas, and share it with the world. But
yeah.
yeah,
I think
it's exciting times, right? I mean, this is, you know, really cool. I mean, I agree with the skeptics who say, like, you know, Avi is pushing a threat narrative. I agree with that. I think that's not the right approach. I mean, it could be a threat, but, you know, it doesn't have to be a threat. But, you know, the same thing is going on with the drones in Europe, right? Because they're also saying, like, oh, we have to weaponize Europe. We have to spend more on defense.
yeah.
Etc., etc. And then this one from Putin is very funny, right? It's sort of what you said last time. So he's basically saying, well,
Не буду больше. Да, не надо больше не буду. Не буду больше ни во Францию, ни в Данию, ни в Копенгаген. Куда еще-то летают? На эти самые, да, везде долетают. Да, в Лиссабон, и куда они летают? И, вы знаете, там развлекаются люди, которые когда-то развлекались по поводу неопознанных летающих объектов, НЛО. Но там столько чудаков, как и у нас, кстати говоря. Ничем не отличаются, особенно молодые люди. Там они сейчас будут запускать вам каждый день. Каждый день, боже мой. Вот и пусть ловят там все это. Значит, но, как вы понимаете, если серьезно, у нас и дронов-то нет, которые до Лиссабона долетают. Но есть определенные и большой дальности, но целей там нету, что самое-то главное. Вот в чем дело. Но это тоже один из способов нагнетания обстановки в целом, чтобы выполнить указания Вашингтонского обкома и повысить расходы на оборону.
Well, I think he's right about that.
No, he's 100% right. First of all, like if they were coming from Russia, they just don't appear at Munich. You would
Yeah.
see them coming. Remember, like during Iran war, even right now, when Yemen sent a drone, they are like Shahid drones. They are stealth drones. They are not like random drones. The moment they start flying, people can track it, right? Everybody can track it. So
Yep.
why can't they track it and show the world that the proof that is coming from Russia? No, they are not coming from Russia. They are flying from like the area, and they, because they are not really big drones. So I
Well,
think they are flying within the country, and I think near the airport.
and look at this. Somebody has been tracking the reports. So these are the ones that the list is much longer, but this like sort of going through the entire list of drone sightings from Germany to Lithuania to Lisbon. Like it's like hundreds of sightings going on right now, even in Holland. Actually, there's a really cool interview with Dutch military guys who went on the record, sort of like whistleblowers of spotting these drones and UFOs. I haven't been able to go through it entirely, so I'll save that one for next time. But there's some eyewitness accounts that are very interesting. So I think what we're having here is like the New Jersey situation. And by the way, the New Jersey situation was also not located or specified directly to New Jersey, because it was happening all over the world, from Indonesia to Russia to China.
I was seeing that. Remember last year I was telling everyone, sharing video, nobody paid attention. But I was seeing those drones and the UFOs, because I was seeing both, and that's why I came to that conclusion that those drones were chasing UFOs, because I've seen that. I
Yeah.
saw the crazy lights in the sky, and then those drones were flying, and they never stopped. At least in Vancouver, there is always a drone. It looks like a government drone because it's flying on regular basis, like every day, probably on some areas.
Yeah, you caught some really cool ones.
Yeah, I caught actually like the lights in the sky, like the UFOs. But then the drones, I don't even record the drones because they are there every day. Because I live in the hill, so I can easily see them flying over the grounds.
Yeah.
But they are like so high up, but I can see it from the hill.
And you see that Europe is really pushing for war right now. You see in England, they just pushed the digital ID, even though they collected 3 million signatures of British people who said, like, they didn't want a digital
Doesn't
ID.
matter. People,
Well,
democracy is like it's just an illusion. There is no democracy. They will do whatever they want.
Yeah, and I mean that's becoming more and more clear as more and more people wake up and disagree with the trajectory that we're on. But basically, in a very short amount of time, there was a petition, and 3 million British citizens signed it that they didn't want a digital ID. The Labour Party, who's in power, actually didn't campaign on a digital ID anyway, right? So they're doing something that they didn't even campaign on, right, when they were elected. So nobody sort of wants this, and they're pushing it through anyway. But there's some good news, because apparently Palantir pulled out of this agreement and doesn't want to give the software for the digital IDs, because they said there's no democratic mandate and there's too much popular opposition.
And you believe Palantir, right? This is
Well,
just a game they are playing. They have already provided everything. It's already implemented, and they are just doing it to save the face, to just make Peter Thiel a hero. That's all. That's all it is.
could be. I'm not disagreeing there. Could be the case.
Yeah, the guy who is like antichrist himself is saying that, oh, I'm not gonna give anything. It's also Palantir softwares are already in use everywhere, by the way.
Yeah, that is true. That's true. Or it's probably true. I don't know if it's true, but very
No,
low.
no, not that specific software, but Palantir is like they become billionaire because of their softwares, right? So their software, which they use to track everyone, immigration services, and all those things. I
Yeah.
know, like the immigration people use Palantir software. That's like very good data collection software that is already being used by everyone. So adding a new software into that, nobody will know. They already have everything.
So I want to share this article. I'll link it down below. And this is, something that Matthew Pines and many other people also talk about. You've got even Peter Sayan and other, geopolitical analysts. But basically, what they are saying and arguing is also what is sort of discussed in this article is that, because you can't really have a world war, or at least, it becomes very dangerous and uncontrollable. So plus the sort of the strategic and interesting areas are not, they are basically located in the Arctic, under the sea, and in space. So that's
Mhm.
where these hot wars or fighting wars are actually taking place. They are based in the Baltic areas,
Yeah.
in the Arctic, underwater. And but the same article also goes on that they can easily escalate, and they are escalating, and Europe is on an escalating
Yeah.
trajectory with Russia.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, Iran war is just very near, like within weeks or within days. Because if anybody is falling for this peace plan, is a stupid person. Because there is no peace plan. This is a deception. They're gonna attack Iran, if not Saudi Arabia, because there is a possibility that they might attack Saudi Arabia, and the moment that happens, you will have a world war, because then not every Muslim country, but a lot of Muslim countries will unite and fight. This is how you're gonna get a war in Middle East, which they need, and then Russia is just over there anyway. They
Yeah,
can
well,
start the war with Russia anytime they want, but they
yeah,
are
but
just waiting for the right moment.
yeah, so but it's very interesting because in this article, I want to read a little bit from this, especially sort of this paragraph I want to read, and at the end there's also a little bit. So this is about President Trump and how he's reacting to the situation and with Europe. So the president has been trying to navigate his way to a settlement agreement regarding Ukraine with Russia and China, perhaps mostly with China. That may sound strange to many, but what we are witnessing is grand bargain style diplomacy in which the superpowers make their decisions without the actual participants having much of a say. The key is to understand Trump's perspective. His view is that the Europeans have stymied his every effort to get to a peace deal, which is true, even though no European nation is prepared to spend a single drop of blood or treasury fighting a war directly with Russia. He finds this contradictory stance extremely difficult to comprehend, as do I. Most Americans are confused by this too. Trump feels the Europeans are effectively at the behest of the American deep state, absolutely true, which wants a war in Ukraine no matter what. Their objective is to ensure sales for the defense sector and to secure control over the massive cash flows that Ukraine represents. I think there's way more to it than that, but those are two big reasons. It is increasingly evident that Trump's view on the origins of the conflict are not as crazy as they originally sounded. For example, far from being a simple case of a totally unprovoked incursion into Ukraine, we now know that US aid and the Soros backed NGOs all spent vast sums of money and energy recruiting locals, building a substantial presence and buying the overthrow of the electoral process there and in many other locations. Further, the US aid cash flow of $1 billion a week was used to put $5 billion into overthrowing the government in the Maidan revolution. So, like all the other velvet and green revolutions of the last few decades, this was perhaps not an organic grassroots movement, but a paid for astroturfing effort. The president's team keep unearthing more background on how the cash flows worked. Now he has the former heads of the CIA, the NSA, and the FBI all lined up for criminal prosecution. As a result, the evidence trail is deepening. It is going to become clear that, for example, the CIA was controlling Burisma, Ukraine's natural gas company, by virtue of having Cover Black and on its board of directors. This is how President Biden's son ended up on the same board. Newly declassified documents show that, as reported by Covert Action magazine, then Vice President Joe Biden had met directly with then Ukrainian President Petro Poroshenko to protect his interests of his son and, by extension, Mykola Slovetsky, the owner of Burisma, who was paying Hunter around $1 million per year between May 2014 and April 2019 to serve on Burisma's board. It seems the CIA asked the FBI to drop the Interpol investigation into Slovetsky. By his own admission, Biden pressured Ukrainian officials to fire Ukrainian prosecutor Viktor Shokin in December 2015 by threatening to withhold up to $1 billion in US loan guarantees after Shokin had launched a corruption probe into Burisma. It now seems clear that Kolomoisky, or rather the CIA via Kolomoisky, was paying the Dnipro battalion, or the neo-Nazi-led Azov battalion, and militias, which included 17,000 foreign mercenaries from more than 50 different countries, including some from the US white supremacists. They were crucial to the war because the Ukrainian military was ambivalent about fighting its own citizens. Black had been the vice chairman of America's largest mercenary organization, Blackwater, and had run the CIA's counterterrorism center anti-Bin Laden unit after 9/11, before forming his own private intelligence company, Total Intelligence Solutions. The point of all this was to attack Gazprom's hold on energy markets and replace it with Ukrainian and American suppliers. Mike Pence, a former US State Department official, just released a deep dive on all this year. The Bin Laden connection matters now that it has become clear that 15 of the 19 hijackers on 9/11 were given visas by Saudis at the insistence of John Brennan, who was the CIA station chief in Riyadh at the time, even though some of them were not Saudi. The whole thing just gets messier from this. See Tucker's newly released 9/11 files for more information. Europeans seem to be keen to pursue war with Russia in spite of the fact that the situation in Ukraine is considerably more complex than the totally unprovoked story they've been encouraged to buy into. And then final bit. In the meantime, President Trump is no angel either. He has failed to cooperate with President Putin, I said, yeah, with Trump's efforts to reach a peace deal, as well as it's now ramping up provocations across all of Europe. So Trump's view is, fine, if you Europeans, NATO, and Russia want to have a war, go ahead, but you are on your own, he added. In any event, I wish both countries well. We will continue to supply weapons to NATO for NATO to do with what they want. Good luck to all of them. The implication is clear. What the war has begun, and yet many do not realize that the war in Ukraine has just metastasized into their region. So that's basically what I wanted to read from this. Actually, the article is longer.
Yeah, it's a long statement. Let's talk about that. So, okay, give me your opinion first.
Yeah, so my opinion is, so some people, and I believe you are also one of those people, think, the world is a stage and everything is staged, and it's, all the players are just acting their parts and it's all pre-programmed and planned. When I look at all of this, I do see plans and I do see alignments and I do see that people pursuing similar goals, but I don't see the world powers agreeing, and I don't see them aligning, and I also don't see how you could actually share this power on a planetary level. I think it's all or nothing. Winner takes all.
It depends who is pulling the strings, right? Because
Yeah, but
I don't think it's one government which is controlling everything. I think there is like a higher power, higher force of evil, which is not telling them to do, but they are making them to do this, basically.
Yeah, okay. That's a different perspective, and I think you would have to be like a super intelligent or high, NHI.
Like I'm talking about like aliens controlling.
Yeah, NHI, like a non-human intelligence that is sort of steering this. But so yeah, I could sort of agree with that. I mean, it's highly speculative, and we don't have
Obviously,
evidence for that.
it's speculation. Obviously, I have no proof of anything. I'm just Yeah.
And I would also, I would also entertain the idea that there's like a specter organization in the background that is trying to pull the strings of these different nations and
Yeah.
organizations in order to do their bidding. But I think the countries themselves and many groups within those countries are definitely not aligned and are fighting each other. And it could quickly escalate. And I think, the game of America, the new game that they're playing right now is to make a greater America. And I think what they mean with that, like the American Fortress or Fortress America, is basically Greenland, Canada,
It's not
and
gonna work.
Latin
It's
America.
not gonna work at all. It's just like Trump being stupid. It's impossible. First of all, because yeah, there is government power. Trump has power. But then American people are not like European people. They started the whole revolution thing. They are the first people who defeated, kicked out the British. They are
Mhm.
not regular people. They won't allow that. Even the right wing Trump supporters will turn against him. There will be a big civil war before they go and take over other countries.
Yeah, but I think they won't do it with fighting. I think that's not the plan. That's not how I see it
I
happen.
don't I don't see any other way, because like Greenland you're talking about fighting with uh, Europe. With
Yeah, but yeah, but
Canada itself will defend a little bit, but then you are also talking about Chinese and Europeans joining in.
yeah, no,
Nothing
but
can happen
I think
without China.
so what he's doing with Europe is basically, first of all, I think he tried to save Europe and try to align with Russia, and I think he will still try to do that if he can, but it's becoming more and more difficult. But if he has to, he will cut Europe loose, and Europe will self-destruct, and I think they won't have any means. I think they
Yeah.
don't have any means to fight any war, whatever, because
Yeah.
they don't have money and they don't have material. They sent it all to Ukraine where it was blown to bits. Like
Yeah.
they have
No,
a few
but
planes and
one more thing regarding US, it's just like a two-party system, and then the senators and the House members of US Congress, they are gonna impeach him before he is able to do anything. And then the generals, they are going to follow what Congress is passed. They will like impeach him.
okay,
Trump cannot do that. Yeah.
but that's sort of okay. What's your opinion?
Oh yeah. Well, to be honest, it was so big that I had like really good points, and I'm trying to remember. I forgot them.
No, no problem. We'll return to this topic
Yeah.
anyway. I do
Yeah.
want to read this last bit. That's just before the article becomes interesting and you have to pay or subscribe with. Probably I will subscribe. Oh, by the way, anyway, it's already too late. Anyway, none of that scares me as much as this recent headline: Russian Noah's Ark satellite carrying 75 mice and 1,500 flies lands back on Earth, apparently according to space.com. A Russian biological research satellite toting more than 30 experiments landed on September 19 in the steppes of the Orenburg region and spending 30 days in Earth orbit. The Bion M number 2 descent module has been called a Noah's Ark due to the mini menagerie of specimens flown. The mini menagerie contained basalt rocks containing microbial strains and bacteria, fruit flies, and mice. So basically, what it's pointing out is like we're on the cusp of sort of like biological warfare. Um, Perhaps with alien strains.
Yeah, I'm not worried. They are doing stuff like they're experimenting. They're taking it just to see how biological life reacts. I don't think it's anything to worry about. By the way, I just sent you another photo of
Okay,
Three
cool.
Eye Atlas.
Gonna check it. Oh yeah, cool.
This is a new one.
That's interesting. That's like okay. Well, anyway, I'll pull it up. Here we go. So this. So what do you have on the background of this picture?
So this is a picture, new picture, the green glowing one, and then they just put like filters on it and the glow to see and they are saying that it looks like a structure,
Mm-hmm.
which is true. Also, the green glow around it is like, yeah, it doesn't look like a comet at all. And no comet has been looked like that, and it's not like the first comet. We never seen a comet. We have seen a lot of comets. We have documented a lot of comets. They don't look like that at all.
Do you remember The Simpsons? With Homer Simpson working in the nuclear facility and holding those green rods.
I don't remember that.
It kind of looks like that.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, I think it will be very cool to see what will happen with 3i Atlas.
Yeah, I don't watch Simpsons a lot. Like I've seen few episodes, not my thing. I'm more of a like Family Guy kind of a person. I like that.
Yeah, Family Guy is cool too.
Yeah.
I haven't seen The Simpsons in ages, by the way.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go to Dylan Borland because he has some very interesting stuff to say. So first, like an introduction, who's Dylan Borland, sorry, I keep messing it up. This is his background.
My name is Dylan Borland, a former
Oh, it's hanged?
intelligence specialist for the United States Air Force and an active duty enlisted team. I did the search and rescue for the SEALs and Marines who passed away in the helicopter accident, the ones that got bin Laden. I did Overwatch for the withdrawal of Iraq. That was my unit I was a part of. I was a part of those missions. That I think is honorable. There are other things that I have done that are questionable. The drone program was actually notorious for suicide. I don't really know how many people know that. Each day, victims of crimes committed by agencies and companies maintaining this secrecy are denied justice is another day our Constitution is shredded. In 2023, Patriots provided this committee and the executive branch with undeniable proof of the UAP reality.
People violate the Constitution or go against the law or treat people who are living up to their oaths poorly, threatening them, intimidating, then it has to come out.
Crimes that were committed, sexual assaults I'm aware of, stalking I'm aware of, brake lines being cut.
So you have direct knowledge of UAP being actual craft of unknown or non-human origin?
I have direct first-hand knowledge and exposure to crash recovery, reverse engineering, as well as the most important piece of technology on the planet, and it's not the craft themselves.
So that's what we're going to talk about.
Yeah, you need to send me this whole thing because I didn't watch it.
Oh, yeah. So it's actually two.
It looks amazing. So I just like with this one clip, I'm more intrigued. I want to see the whole thing.
Yeah, so the part one is sort of what happened like last week or the week before. I forgot. Weaponized also puts out some really cool stuff.
This is by Weaponized.
Yeah, by our fans, George Snap.
Oh my God, they have improved the quality.
yeah. But the episode 2, or sort of the second release of this interview, is even better than part 1, and that's what we're gonna play some clips from. Okay. So let's start at the beginning.
Is there any footage in there?
Yeah, you see him draw. So actually,
okay, not the real footage. Okay.
No, you don't see like aliens and that kind of stuff. No.
Okay, let's see.
Here we go.
Gold, lava, plasma, some type of fluid going over and around the craft.
What is it that you saw and found out and can tell us about?
I only came forward because I sincerely believed they were going to die. It sucks. I think what we are dealing with is very, very, very old. I think old humans have written those down in religious stories. I think that it's quite clear that we have been influenced by something else. I provided 3 rudimentary drawings, one of which was unclassified and the other 2 were immediately thrown into a sap. And the 2 that were thrown into a sap prove we are not alone.
Okay, so this is sort of the background of the guy. So he worked at many different levels of the U.S. government, and he has been harassed, like really harassed, because Louis Elizondo, the story of Louis Elizondo living in a caravan. I don't know what to think about that. it could just be an act. Um,
No, it could
so,
also happen. I'm
yeah,
not
it could also be
like
real,
doubt.
right?
Yeah. No, I think there is a possibility that they've made him suffer so he can agree with their demands, and then he might have agreed to their demands. This is a possibility.
Yeah, or maybe he's like, I mean, like I said, like there might very well be different factions fighting each other, and
Yeah.
maybe he's a soldier on the front line for one of those factions, and that he has to suffer.
Oh,
Some sort of,
definitely. I think they all are.
yeah,
No, yeah, but it depends which faction you are from. So they
yeah,
all are the soldiers, and probably I'm not saying that they know about it. I don't think they even know what they are doing, but they're again, it's like somebody's pulling the strings and making them do stuff, and it can happen to us anywhere, right? Anyone, even
yeah.
for yeah. So maybe they don't know what they're doing, but they are doing what they want them to do.
Yeah, and, in that last interview that we did with Adam and Tover, I mentioned the book Three Felonies a Day,
Yeah.
where every person in the Western world is committing 3 felonies a day on average without even knowing without knowing that they're doing it, right?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
sort of,
like technically jaywalking is a felony too, right? So everybody is doing that.
yeah,
One for sure.
and that's sort of the idea behind this is that they added so many laws and that they made the laws so complex that no sane person can actually understand what the laws say anymore, and they
Yeah.
are like tripwires so that you can
Yeah.
always
Yeah.
catch somebody.
Loitering is a crime. We do that all the time. We throw
Yeah.
trash
And
everywhere.
you saw it with Trump and trying to get rid of that Federal Reserve lady. I forgot her name because she did something in the past. And basically, they also did it with Trump, right? Because the stuff that Trump was accused of, many Democrats also do similar things.
Yeah.
So
Well,
it's
that
sort of
just yeah. Also, one more thing, like just because they don't like the opinion, they do that, right? And sometimes they even didn't commit a crime, and they just remove that, like the FBI director of
yeah, Comey.
Utah. No, 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 not the Comey. Comey is a criminal, but Utah, where Charlie Kirk got shot.
Oh yeah.
So before that, like a month before that, they just changed the not the director, whatever the in charge of the state, whoever the head of the state,
Hmm.
FBI head of the state. They just removed
Governor.
that because not the governor, FBI head of the state.
Oh, okay, yeah,
So like the member of FBI, everyone report to that person was changed just less than a month ago.
yeah.
And why did they change it? Because they didn't like her. She was Democrat. And Cash
Yeah,
was like that.
or too
So they do
critical.
that stupid thing, and then there is like a whole thing that because they changed and they appointed a new person, that person didn't know how to do it, and that's why that security lapse happened. I think there is a bigger mystery over there. I think they deliberately did it, and so they can shoot Charlie Kirk. But
Yeah,
again, yeah, there's like a lot of the things like you just do it for political reason as well.
yeah. I think we also discussed that. I think sort of the story that it's a lone wolf. If it happens in any other country that's not Western, we always say it's a coup or a
Yeah.
group is behind it. But if it happens in a Western country, it's always just a lone wolf.
Yeah, like when Pugoskian, the person who tried to overthrow Putin back
Yeah,
in 2023, when his plane crashed, technically it was like a fault in the plane and it crashed, but we all know what happened, right?
yeah.
And nobody even questioned that. Everybody knows that Putin did that. So,
Yeah, and the same in Iran, right? Not this time. I mean, this time it was obvious the last time, but the time before that, what was it last year when one of those high officials of Iran died in a
oh, that
plane?
was definitely Israel. We
Yeah,
know
I
that, but
mean,
we can't
yeah,
because we can't. And Iran is not accepting that too because like bad for their reputation that they can't protect their prime minister.
yeah. But
So
usually Israel also admits it after a couple of months,
no, no, no,
years.
not the intelligence operations. They only admit the military operations, but that was not a military operation. That was an intelligence Mossad operation.
But
Mossad will never accept that. Otherwise, that will defeat the plan of Mossad, right?
But anyway, but the point is like nobody believes that was just an accident, right?
Yeah, nobody, only stupid people believe that.
But if it happens in the West, we say, oh, it's an accident. Oh, it's a coincidence. Oh, it's a lone wolf. There's
It depends.
nobody.
No, it depends who is the shooter. If that shooter was a black, then there is like another thing going. If it was a Muslim, that would have been definitely a terrorist attack.
Yeah,
But since it was like a white dude, white Christian Mormon dude, that's why it was just a lone shooter.
yeah, okay, that you got a point there. Yeah. Yeah, but anyway, that's sort of like a myth that they created, like a a really good cover story that people, because it's kind of scary, right? If your own government is killing people, for or basically the deep state, we should say.
Yeah.
It's not technically the government, but
And and my opinion is like they took Charlie Kirk out because he was the biggest hurdle
yeah,
in Trump's surrounding, who was against the Iran war. The
yeah,
previous Iran war, he was very vocal. And like the people, like a lot of people are coming out and they're saying, oh, he was against Israel. No, he was not against Israel. He was against US troop getting involved in another military,
yeah.
uh, in another war in basically in the Middle East. That's what's his issue. And the point is they want an Iran war. The moment Charlie Kirk is gone, you will see that like, yeah, Iran war is happening. We are just waiting. All the things are transferred.
That's
Everyone is ready. It's just a matter of time.
it. They're just mowing the lawn. They're
They're
just
just
mowing the
mowing
lawn.
the lawn. Yeah. Well, I
What are
just
you getting so upset about?
yeah, I just read that the
They're mowing
tweet
their
from
front lawn.
Mario. They are mowing the lawn, and US provided the fuel. I was
Yeah.
like, you guys have no shame
Hey,
at
did
all.
you also see that they're landing those airplane tankers in Qatar, and then Qatar gets sort of a protection from the US that if anything happens to Qatar, that the US will
Yeah,
intervene.
yeah, like the last time they got bombed, right?
Uh-huh.
Trusting the US will be the biggest mistake Qatar have done and will do. I like Saudi now because they're smart enough to realize there is no way they can trust United States. That's why they signed a military deal with Pakistan instead of US, and
But
they
anyway,
gave one base to Pakistan because they know that in that case US will betray them and they will get bombed. Qatar is stupid. Qatar will be destroyed by the way by making this deal.
yeah, but a lot of these Middle Eastern countries are getting the jitters, right? Because it could, like you say, it could completely go bananas if they do another attack on Iran. It has major ramifications on the entire region.
No, I think even the last time Saudi was supporting Iran a lot, which was surprising because they used to be the enemies,
Yeah,
Iran and Saudi. But I was reading like recently that Iran thanked Saudi Arabia and said that Saudi
interesting.
Arabia was our biggest support during that war.
Remember, I think it was like 2 years or 3 years ago that I think it was China who sort of made this peace deal or agreement between Iran and Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, it was around 2023.
Yeah, I remember that. I felt like, wow, so they can actually work together. That's interesting.
Yeah, it's surprising, but it's a good sign for that area because they were like the biggest rivals. So if they are
Uh-huh.
together, then everything will sort out. So I'm just saying that this time this war is going to be a real war, a deadly war. A lot of people will die because if they try to mow the lawn, Iran is a big country. You can't mow the lawn.
No, there's some landmines in the lawn.
Yeah, but Israel is a very small country in terms of the size. It will
Yeah,
be
it's
much,
very,
yeah.
very difficult to protect. Yeah.
Yeah, like that will be a big mistake and you will make the life miserable. I think again Israel is counting. I think Avi Loeb is involved in that too, that they are hoping that their Messiah is coming
But
in
three-eye
this
atlas.
area at least. So let's just do wars and then their Messiah will come and save them, which is a big mistake because there is a high probability that it's just a comet and we are just reading the wrong signs.
Well, yeah, whatever it is not a comet, but yeah,
No, but I'm just saying there is a possibility that yeah,
yeah.
maybe our information
Maybe
is
it's
wrong.
just a rock.
Yeah, yeah, maybe it's just an asteroid,
Yeah, could
not
be
a comet asteroid, right? Asteroids don't have the tail.
true. Yeah. So anyway, and with Charlie Kirk, I think they're abusing it, right? They're using it to divide the country. They're using it to insert speech hate laws. They're using it to insert a pre-crime technology from Palantir. They're abusing and then they're also, Charlie Kirk was for free speech, right? Free opinion and
Like
discussion.
the biggest free speech absolutist.
Yeah,
I
so
love
that's all
that
gone.
Charlie. That thing about Charlie Kirk. I like that he was like very much into free speech.
Anyway, let's go into Borland. Okay, what happened to him?
These weird polygraph tests and VA tests and all this, but the police report verbatim saying that my brake lines were cut, I am still trying to get proof of.
Exactly. That's a clear cut thing, right? It's like we can talk about the administrative terrorism, the bizarre psychological, I'd say, experiments that he had to endure.
You're working for BAE, but not really. You're working, that's the structure of this company. You're working for an agency. It's doing the same stuff.
Yep, it's called
redacted.
I mean, you have covered positions, non-official covered positions, and even then I'm starting to float down a river of classification and classified information, but basically I was...
Your paycheck is from BAE.
Yes.
Are there other people who aren't necessarily BAE government people that you are interacting with at any?
100%, and there's other agencies outside of the IC that I'm interacting with. There are other contractors I'm interacting with because it's a way to...
redacted.
Here's my question: is your employer and the secret employer know what you know? They know what you did. You've done it well, even though you feel guilty about it. Why wouldn't they take care of you and not want you to spill beans or go off the deep end? So why wouldn't they do that?
All right, now you're asking me my opinion, and this is my opinion. To be clear, I think at the time that all of this was happening, and considering with what the VA was doing to me, what was on my official record, it is my opinion that it would have been very easy to discredit me publicly by saying this individual is delusional. Look at all his medical records. He's a disgruntled employee, a liar, all of that. And then the problem became, though, especially when I came to Aero and spilled the beans, and then people found out I kept police reports and voicemails that are on my phone, you guys have heard, that people found out very quickly that it was going to be very easy to discredit me when I was still under the belief that if I said anything, they would call me a Looney Tune. And then they found out how much I knew, what I could prove, and what I had. And it quickly became a problem of, he is a danger.
Yeah,
Right.
We need to deal with this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Bob Lazar kind of.
100%. And that's the thing that, that I notice a lot, is that a lot of what the types of reprisals that you have experienced in your line of work mimic the same tactics all the way back to 1989 when George was reporting on Bob Lazar. It's like just ways to discredit you and put you and look, I've seen all the evidence that you've provided. We've looked through it. I've talked to people that know you really well over these years. You're a solid individual, or wouldn't be sitting here. So the fact that they're setting up the option to be able to discredit you is exactly why they probably chose Bob compared to him. I mean, he's working official capacity with clearances and all that stuff, but it's the same tactics.
Yeah, I mean, it's called a standard operating procedure. I actually laugh. I mean, honestly, I was laughing about George's mug right here when confronted. One thing about the United States government is they don't really change their SOPs or TTPs. They think if it works, it's going to work forever. And this goes back to issues we were talking about, which is the internet changed the game. AI is going to change it more. And too many people have come out. So these SOPs and TTPs to keep whistleblowers silent, you really got to start adapting, unfortunately. And I don't want to give people who want to hide this secret or ammunition, but this is a different ballgame this time.
Give us a sense of how they've made your life miserable as a result of you leaving that job and really setting the table for discrediting you if they need to do it.
I mean, okay, that works. For example, I witnessed a suicide. The police showed up. There was an official police report. I was with other veterans. The Veterans Affairs Administration was contacted. And the police contacted the VA on my behalf to tell the psychologist there that this happened. I went in with another veteran, a Marine, who deployed to Afghanistan, combat engineer, great guy. We went into our psychological eval from the suicide we both witnessed together. He was treated with due respect, asked how he felt, apologized, the whole nine. What they did to me is they accused me of faking a police report, faking being a police officer, wrote in my official medical records, which have hindered me to this day, it's still ongoing, that I am a liar, I am prone to delusions, I make everything up, and that is in my official medical records. You guys have the police report number, you guys have the voicemail, I played it for you both. That was the first thing the VA did to me. I was put into a hypnosis biofeedback program where once a week I had to go to the VA and I would be hooked up to a polygraph machine, and they would flash images of an Afghan child with a gun to a butterfly, and I'm hooked up to this polygraph machine and I have to count backwards from 100 by 7 while they're flashing images. And if I got the number wrong, like 193, 86, and I said 77, they'd start screaming at me, honking an air horn, and I'd have to restart. I had to pull my 401k because I didn't have a clearance. I couldn't get a job. I almost lost my house. I had to fight BAE and the agencies I work for unemployment, which was $270 a week in Northern Virginia, which, if you know anything about Northern Virginia, is the richest part of America. It is not feasible to even get groceries off of that. Basically, I lost everything but my house, and at one point in time, because I was concerned I was going to lose my house because I am a 10% disabled vet, the VA is denying I ever did the jobs I did, denying I have the issues I have, the whole nine. I was genuinely concerned I was going to lose my house, and I began to honestly consider and look at non-violent offenses in order to have 3 hots in a cot, because I was very quickly approaching the point in time where I would probably be a homeless disabled vet.
Sounds like they wanted you to kill yourself.
That is 100% what they did. In fact, there was a doctor who filed a complaint within the IG at the VA on my behalf because they were, in his opinion, trying to get me to kill myself. At one point in time, they put me on a prescription medication for PTSD and depression, which I wasn't allowed to collect, by the way. The VA still denied I had PTSD or depression, but they put me on the medicine for it. And I woke up in the middle of the night while on this medication, and the best way I can describe it is, you need to relieve yourself to go to the bathroom or you're thirsty. It's a physical response. I woke up in the middle of the night, and the physical response in my brain was commit suicide. I freaked out, rightfully so. Something I will never do is commit suicide. I'm a Roman Catholic. It is against my religion to do so. I contacted the VA. I went to the VA on the police's, again, all documented, and the VA psychologist, who was a CIA employee of all things, or was, said, "Oh, this is common. You need to increase your dose." The psychiatrist, you have his name.
Yeah.
He was made aware. He filed a complaint on my behalf. He found out there was a team dedicated to me at the VA, and he filed a complaint against that team. He was told that nothing's going to change, that I answer to them. And he told me verbatim, he said, "Dylan, you need to do everything in your power to live through this. What they are doing to you is wrong. Do not trust any of these doctors. There is something very wrong with what is being done to you." And keep in mind, this whole time this is happening, I'm over at BAE. And he resigned.
In protest, he resigned because of what they were doing to Dylan. And let's just back up. This is some Stranger Things bullshit. To take somebody like Dylan through, I think it was Stanford research, right? To take somebody through like Dylan.
Penn State and Stanford.
It was what?
Penn State and Stanford.
And, used aeroforms and these violent images. And I mean,
Malcolm McDowell.
It's my favorite movie. Yeah, it's like Clockwork Orange. Not to make light of it, but it's like, I've talked to a bunch of people about this, and it's some sort of psychological program that has really deep ties within the CIA.
MK Ultra.
It's like a continuation of that, is what I understand. So there's something else going on that Dylan is searching for answers, and I get that with what he's experienced. It appears to be connected to the UAP thing.
I mean, I'm almost certain it is, because this goes back to when I was discharged from the Air Force. After I processed with the VA and the Air Force, the DOD mandated I go to the Navy. I'm not a Navy. I never work with I train Navy guys, but I'm not Navy. I never work for the Navy other than Special Ops, which is under
redacted.
I had out process with the Navy, and when I went down to out process with the Navy in 2013, I go down there and the Navy doctor's asking me about ESP, God, remote viewing, aliens, the whole nine.
You walk in on that day.
I walk in, and during my out process for my medical discharge, they're like, "How's your back? Oh, we're sorry about your dental thing. We'll get that taken care of. Oh, by the way, we have some psychological questions to ask you. Do you believe in God? Do you believe in ESP?" And that's the first time, George. The second time I had the same thing happen to me when I was filing for PTSD with the VA. The VA doctors and the clinician that did it, the psychiatrist who did my VA eval, started asking me, "Oh, do you believe in God? Do you believe in ESP? Remote viewing? Has this ever happened to you? Do you have prophetic dreams?"
Did you ask them, why are you asking me this?
I did, and they're like, "Oh, well, this is just standard eval." And all of this stuff, and this is what's so troubling, is because I'm doing this, and it leads us all the way to now, and why I'm here on camera with you is I did everything by the book for our country. I put my faith in bureaucrats and companies in our nation. And what I got for it was losing everything, no job, no clearance, my master's degree gone, my reputation in the toilet. I go and put a bullseye on my back with Arrow the IG. I tell Congress, let's get it straight. Congress knows. Like, everybody can play the games, and I'm sorry to the congressional staff and members that are here listening to this. Y'all know.
Well, in fact, it's people within government that vouched for the authenticity of your character and experiences that have reached out to me and George, and they're a little nervous about.
Yeah, I could basically play the whole thing, but
Oh yeah, we
play-
just forgot that we are playing something, but it wasn't interesting. Technically, I think we have to stop like after 30 seconds or something. But yeah, it was good. It was good
yeah,
production.
and actually, from that point onward, the entire conversation is super interesting. They basically tried to kill the guy and totally destroyed and ruined his life up till now, because right now, even now, he sort of has to live off nothing, and he still he doesn't have a 401k. He doesn't have. I think he still has a house, but he has very little to no income. His whole future is uncertain. And but he testified. He was one of the people who testified for
Yeah,
Congress.
no, now he have many other streams he can create. He can start a podcast. He can work with Jake. What's that?
Uh,
Not David Grusch, the other guy, Jake Barber. You can work with him in his team because he have information, so he can create revenue streams. And I won't even blame, or he can write a book or create his own documentary and stuff. Like, he can do a lot of the things to
mhm.
create a revenue for himself. And I hate those people who accuse, like, okay, somebody came out and published a book, he's doing it for the money. No,
Yeah,
he's not doing it for the money. He also need money to survive.
yeah.
Yeah, a man can be telling a truth and also trying to make living out of it. There is nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, especially if you see how they are treated, right? Because
Yeah, also,
yeah,
like, yeah, everybody needs money. What do you mean who will pay their bills if they are
yeah.
doing this work? Yeah, I don't like blame anyone to make money. If I get abducted by aliens, I'm coming out, I'm cashing every single thing out of it. I will be telling the truth, but I will be signing Netflix deal, book deal, whatever I can, because I will make money out of it and tell the truth. They are two separate things.
No, yeah, and I mean, they also say it against podcasters, like what we are doing right now. That we do it for the views, that we do it for the likes, that we do it for sponsors or whatever, right? We don't get a single dime. And,
Yeah, I
yeah,
never got
we wish
any
we had
money
more
from
viewers.
anything. Yeah. Also, even with the art, right? For me, like, okay, I don't even sell my art, but I still draw a lot
Yeah,
of
yeah.
them.
I
Yeah,
mean,
I just do it because I like to do it. Yeah, if I can make money out
yeah,
of it, sure. But I don't like I don't blame people for making money out of their experiences. Yeah, they are lucky, and then they should cash it out too. I'm not saying they should like hide and like make thing about it, but if they're doing the right thing and making money out of it, for example, the Fire in the Sky movie,
yeah.
that was a real event. The guy got abducted,
Okay.
and he was on I forgot his name. Anyway, he was on Joe Rogan podcast too. So he did make money through the movie, but it was a real experience as well.
Yeah, and I think even for example the stuff that we're talking about right now, right? This is pretty controversial stuff. Also, some of the opinions that we share, and of course, it's all
Yeah,
speculation and opinions on our part.
his name was Travis Walton. You know
Oh
the
yeah,
Travis Walton. Yeah, so
yeah,
Travis Walton actually made money out of it too, but his experience was real, and I
yeah,
think he's releasing a new movie out of it too. Something new too, where you want to do a proper thing, and I think his experience like one of the famous abduction case.
yeah.
So, and I believe him, and I'm saying, yeah, go for it, man. Make as much money as possible, and keep telling us the truth too.
Yeah, but I mean, like, if you and me, if we wanted to really make money with this podcast, then we would have to self censor ourselves, because if you say the stuff that we are saying right now, you
Yeah,
get demoted. You
it's
get shadow banned, which
yeah,
we
that's
are.
yeah. We lost our accounts and everything, and the point of it like is, yeah, do the right thing and then make money out of it. Yeah, if somebody,
Good
for
luck.
example, if somebody give us like a sponsor for what we are trying to say and exactly what we want to say, that's one thing. But if somebody say, okay, take this money and don't talk about this, that's not happening. We are
Yeah.
not doing that. That will defeat the purpose
And
of
I
what
think
we are doing.
it's people. So what we just shared a very long clip from Weaponized, and I think we just did a good thing, right? Because we shared Borland's story to new people who haven't heard it, and if you hear like the full story or as much as you can, then you get a better picture of what happened to this guy, and that you actually want to help this guy, and that you become aware of what's wrong with this country, or with Europe is no better than America, but what's wrong with our countries, I should say.
Hmm.
So I think it's actually a noble thing to share a longer clip.
Yeah.
But technically it might be not allowed. So anyway, we'll notice if YouTube allows
No,
it.
we are not monetized anyway. So what they gonna do?
Yeah.
Nothing. We are also shadow banned. Nobody actually can see, dude. Like I can't see Bitcoin live. I've subscribed. I pressed the the ring option, bell option. I have
Uh-huh.
everything. I still don't see it. I have to even when I search Bitcoin live DB exact name, it
Yeah.
doesn't come at the first result. It comes like the in the bottom somewhere.
Yeah, I think Graham the Penrose, right? From he now does open code mission. We did a lot of interviews with him. He's now
Hmm.
in decentralized science, really cool.
Yeah.
But he's also a specialist in cybersecurity and basically all this kind of stuff. And he told me, hey Nick, trust me, you guys are shadow banned. I checked it out, and you are.
No, we are definitely because like I can't see anything on YouTube. On Twitter, I see you. I actually like it doesn't appear in my timeline as well. Like until I find you and you tag me a lot, still I don't see all your shows. I never actually see Bitcoin live post. I see
Ah.
random posts from Mario. For some reason, I think I'm subscribed to them, but Mario is fine. I actually have subscribed to him, but I see random accounts, random chicks showing their s for some reason. I'm not interested, but still, I'm not a s guy. I'm a boobs guy. If you want to show me something, show me boobs, not the s. So the point is like I see random stuff, and uh, the thing which I'm interested in your channel where we do podcasts every month, multiple times a month,
Yeah.
and then you and I tag each other all the time. I still don't see it. So yeah, and I
Well,
my follower count is stuck on 2,000 for a very long time.
yeah. Oh my God, account followers. Yeah. Each time you
Yeah,
get a couple, and then you lose a couple, and
yeah,
sometimes you grow a bit,
yeah.
and then
And then you see obviously bots account. You
oh
know
yeah,
that they have like 30,000. How? And
yeah.
it's just weird.
They just play the game, right? They pay, and then if you pay and you shut your mouth and you say things that are okay, if you color within the lines, then you
Yeah.
can grow.
But then that will defeat the purpose of our existence, right?
Yep.
I'm not supposed to follow the line. I'm supposed to break the line, go on the
Well,
left
that's
side.
actually also what he says at the end. At the end, Borland says, critical thinking is no longer a skill that is being taught, and people have to, if you actually want to get any progress in UAPs and this whole thing that's happening, which he says is the most important thing in human history, then you need actually people who are critical thinkers, and especially people who can think outside of the box. But that's the one thing that they don't want, right? They are trying to keep us all in the box and to bury us on the ground.
And I think we are the last of humankind who will be able to critically think, because the moment we have cybernetics inside our body,
Yeah.
nobody will be thinking anything. Everybody will be a willing slave. That's the mark of the beast. Do not get cybernetics inside you.
Yeah. Agree. I think we have to stop it here. I think we covered everything. We covered the drones in Europe.
Yeah,
We covered
I
some of
actually like
them.
this random podcast we decided to do last night, and we had a good conversation. That's a good podcast.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
And next time we'll cover a little bit more of Dylan,
yeah.
because he had a lot of cool stuff to say, and I'm sure there will be more stuff on 3i Atlas and on Europe. And and I think I just threw in Grand Deception because you can throw that in at any time.
Hmm.
Because we're always being deceived all the time, right?
Okay.
Okay, let's wrap it up there, and wish everybody a good day, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, and take care.
Okay. Take care. Have fun. Bye.